talk about a little bit about harmony and how music is to me. Music and food, I find a similarity, and so I wanted to talk about the ancients and how they understood that music has the power to heal. In fact, the Chinese word for medicine comes from the word for music. People believed that the elegant virtue of music has the pure energy that harmonizes the body, mind, and soul, and they were very aware of this. Well, I want to give out a recipe today because we talked about recipes. And
yes,
I want to
please
say that, like quinoa, that what is quinoa? Quinoa was cultivated in the Andes over 5,000 years ago, and it's pronounced quinoa, Keenwha.
And I believe it's one of the oldest grains on earth.
That's right, 5,000 years, and it is the mother grain and the gold of the Incas. Technically, it's not a grain but a seed. Mm-hmm. Although it's used in virtually all the same ways as the whole grains. The popularity of quinoa has grown steady over the years as people have discovered its pleasant, nutty taste, sprouted delight qualities. And I want to talk about that with the recipes because it's really been fun working with quinoa this summer. As a complete protein source. Again, a complete protein source, also high in iron, magnesium, fiber. Quinoa is not only for the healthiest pantries and staples, but it's one that incredibly is easy and quick to cook. Quinoa has a natural coating called, and I don't know that I'm saying this, spony, that can make the cooked grain taste bitter or soapy. Luckily, it's easy to get rid of this coating by rinsing quinoa just before cooking. So you can take it in your strainer and always wash it before to get that coating off because it does have a bitterness. And we actually wash our nuts and soak them and just our seeds. We like to wash our pumpkin seeds and just everything to make sure that everything's washed, so that we can we go and get it in bulk, so that we can pour it into our own bags at the stores, because it's a good preparation to do that. So I wanted to talk about the recipe for quinoa, and what I do is I take the quinoa, and it's 1 cup of quinoa, and I actually have been working a lot with the white quinoa. You said you've been doing quinoa this year too. I heard we had talked about that. Is that right?
Mhm.
Yeah, and so I do 2 parts water. And, of course, I do the water, the purest water that we can get, and then sea salt, maybe around 1/4 teaspoon per cup for the quinoa. Of course, then you rinse the quinoa and you drain it, and that removes all the bitterness. And then you do boil over a medium-high, and you decrease it off the heat to maintain a gentle simmer. So it takes about 20 minutes to cook the quinoa. And when that's cooking, I come in and I stir it and I kind of watch it, and I reduce the heat as the time goes by. So I'm just kind of watching it constantly. I do like the white, but the boiling red timings vary, I found. Altitudes, but I have had a lot of success with the white. I'm still working with the red on my boiling. It seems to be more and slower, and I get a lot of more fluffy for me right now. And while I'm letting the quinoa cook for those 20 minutes and keeping an eye on it, because you want the water to drain out. and you can put a lot of, the secret is in the water. So don't be afraid to have a little more water in it so that it absorbs into the heat. And so while I'm doing that, I go to my chopping board, and my mouth starts watering. I notice this every time. My taste buds are heightened, and they become so alive, and I'm all excited to taste it. And so I chop up 1 to 1/3 cup of green onions. And I like to go and get fresh picked onions in the garden in the summertime. But I love to get in my produce. So this is all produce. And so there's green onions, finely chopped, 1/2 finely chopped red pepper, 1 1/2 cup all natural organic sweetened with apples, cranberries. So it's sweetened with apples, but they're cranberries. And then 1 fresh organic corn on the cob. That's in season, but I love to put as much fresh as I can, and 1/2 diced tomatoes. If you'd like to add a slice of avocado, that's always really fun. And I like to place it on top for the color. And so I like the reds and the greens, and I just love color. Now, after the quinoa is boiled and for about 20 minutes, then I like to have a glass bowl, and I put the quinoa in the bowl, and it's steaming. And I love to see it sprouts. I just love every single one as I'm stirring it into the bowl. I notice it sprouts. And because we do a lot of sprouting in our house, it's been cooked. And I'm like, look at that, it's got sprouts. So that tells you. It just excites me every time.
Yeah, you're really celebrating as you're creating
really celebrating.
And cooking.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And I love to see it, and I love to fluff it. I mean, I'm just all into this experience every time I make it. And then I add all the veggies, and then there's oils and herbs. So now the oils, I wanted to talk a little bit about that. I do a teaspoon of cumin, and then I do a teaspoon of fresh lime or lemon to my taste. I do a teaspoon of salt and 1 organic pepper, So just 1
And what
teaspoon.
oil do you use?
Now, I want to talk about that because of this is huge. This is really big. So I add 1 1/2 cup or a little more of organic sunflower oil, expeller pressed with organic cold press. So it's expeller pressed. And it says gluten-free, and it says non-GMO. And so I'm always reading my labels about everything. And the expeller pressed takes that out. You always, and I know that oil is, there's not all oils are equal.
Right.
And really to get that organic, I've even had to say, I have to know this is gluten-free.
Right.
Because the sensitivity we have makes a difference. And anyone that has had diseases and they're not having them as much, and they know that there's more joy in their life because they're more free of it by becoming sensitive to reading their labels, talking to their grocers, reading up into Google about the product they're buying. Nowadays, I went online and I was reading about gluten-free a little bit more. And so I went online and I said, that's for another recipe, but I wanted to know that it says you can't have pumpkin seeds. And I wanted to say, well, what I've been noticing back here in southern Utah and back in the West, that they and it's on Amazon, because I did go to Amazon, so I'm really looking and so I invite everyone to just become conscious, and we start waking up about and educating ourselves. So all that came from our recipe, but it's sunflower oil they found is more helpful. Mm-hmm. And that we also take a cup of organic cold pressed extra virgin Mediterranean oil, and then I add 1 teaspoon of coconut aminos, soy free, and all of this, it has no GMO on it and it's gluten free. That's the label. If you're out there wondering, we're talking about gluten-free because there are so many moms out there in our family, and I'm one of them with the celiac. You cannot deviate from the gluten and dairy-free diet if you want to live a quality life. Thank you. And so you get to know, as you're saying, Deborah, what is in every single thing that you bring into your home. And it's a little bit of work at the beginning as you start out, but as you go along, you just begin to know what brand, what this, what that you can actually have, and there are so many possibilities in this day and age compared to, say, even 10 years ago when people didn't know. But you really have to be careful, and for sure when you're going out to restaurants, because some of them have dedicated kitchens and some do not, just like everything else we talk about. So everyone wants to get on the bandwagon, so they may say gluten and dairy-free, but it is not. And so with that said, we need to rush off to our next break. We still have time. Anyone would like to call? Deborah is ready for your questions. I'm ready. Bob's for in the house. Give us a call. Yeah. Yeah, 833-220-1200. We'll be back in a moment.
Experience a different yet profound healing with Reconnective Healing. Includes yet expands beyond any and all known forms of energy healing. The Reconnective Healing spectrum is comprised of the full healing and evolutionary continuum of energy, light, and information. It allows for healings that are not just physical, not just mental, not just emotional, yet go beyond that to bring healing that includes the evolution of your very being and essence. Deborah Beauvais, trained and certified by world-renowned Dr. Eric Pearl, offers appointment hours at Seacock Family Chiropractic in Seacock, Massachusetts. For questions or to set up both distance or local sessions, call Deborah at 508-431-1959. Again, 508-431-1959. Or go to lovebyintuition.com. That's lovebyintuition.com.
Ever wonder what it's like to have your own radio show? Well, wonder no longer, because you can dip into the radio airwaves by being host for the day on syndicated Dream Vision 7 radio network. It's a fabulous way to get your radio feet wet. It's an opportunity to market your business, modality, or book. Have a guest, mention a sponsor, and take callers. Or you may want to facilitate a lesson by going solo. It's up to you. Listeners can be online, mobile, in cars with Bluetooth, or listen through Amazon's Echo by asking, Alexa, play Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. For more details, go to dreamvision7radio.com and click on Host for the Day.
Are you searching for a way to help create global change? Dream Vision 7 Radio Network's vision is to have an eclectic group of radio hosts dedicated to educating, enlightening, and helping humankind with positive messages and tools that enhance lives using different modalities and programs. If you would like to join our team and help illuminate the universe, call Deborah at 508-226-1723 or Deborah at dreamvision7radio.com.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax,